Good morning. Today is Monday, June 17th, 2024. Just a reminder that this Thursday night, we will not hold the regular Mining the Riches of the Parsha. Instead, I will be participating in a panel discussion hosted by Congregation Dorshei Emet on the subject of end of life, planning, and care. There is a separate registration for that Zoom event. You're all invited, and all the information is available in the emails we send out and on our website. I hope you will join us at this separate registration and log in on Thursday night. Recently, a team of archaeologists in Israel announced a startling discovery that the Jews of ancient Israel used cell phones. And the proof was that they had dug deeply all over Israel, from north to south, east to west, and nowhere did they find underground telephone wires. So it must be that the ancient Jews used cell phones. In every profession and in every area of life, people make false assumptions from the data before them. And I'm not picking on archaeologists. Archaeologists truly teach us so much. But there was an actual recent announcement by Israeli archaeologists that I believe has the same fault as the fictional one that I mentioned before. Every weekday morning, Jewish men put on Tefilin during the morning prayers. These are leather boxes and straps on our head, on our arm, commanded by the Torah. And inside the boxes are parchments on which are written passages from the Torah. It is a universal practice, without any exception, that Tefillin, the boxes and the straps, are black. Now, Tefillin from 2,000 years ago were found in the Qumran desert caves. And last week, the Times of Israel reported that the Tefillin used in Israel over 2,000 years ago were the color of their natural leather, not dyed black, as mandated by Jewish law today. Professor Yonatan Adler of Ariel University, who led the study, said, "This is a very important discovery. This is the first time that tefillin have been scientifically examined to determine their color." So, an Israeli-British study examined a group of the 2,000-year-old tefillin found in the same area as the Dead Sea Scrolls and determined that no dye was used in their construction, meaning they would have had their natural leather color. Now, that finding is at variance with Talmudic law, which clearly holds that the requirement that tefillin are in fact black is halacha l'Moshe miSinai, a law given by God to Moshe at Mount Sinai. In other words, this is part of the oral law that God gave to Moshe, starting with Sinai and over the course of the 40 years in the desert, that God explained to Moshe orally to accompany and explain the written law. The written law just says where tefillin, and the oral law explains what they are, what they look like, what they contain, and what color they are. And by calling this halacha l'Moshe miSinai, it means, according to the Rambam, Maimonides, that this is a detail that has never been disputed and never been ignored since Sinai. But these researchers, in examining these ancient tefillin, they used a series of modern methodologies, including multispectral imaging, Raman spectroscopy. ATR, FTIR spectroscopy, and SEMEDX, scanning electron microscopy with energy dispersive X-ray spectroscopy. This is a quote, "In the dark fragments we examined, the color appears to be the result of natural leather aging rather than intentional dyeing. It is likely," this is still Dr. Adler speaking, "it is likely that in the beginning there was no halakhic significance to the color of tefillin. Only at a later period did the rabbis rule that tefillin should be dyed black." Last quote, "It is commonly thought," this is again, lastly, Professor Adler, "it is commonly thought that Jewish law is static and does not develop. Our ongoing research on ancient tefillin shows that the exact opposite is true. Jewish law has always been dynamic. In my view," this is his opinion, "it is this vibrancy that makes halacha Jewish law so beautiful." End quote. That's a very interesting idea, and it is certainly true that Jewish law is dynamic in many, many ways, but not in this case, because, in my opinion, their conclusion is wrong. Because tefillin have never been dyed black. If they were dyed black, it would mean that the black color was absorbed into the leather. But that's not true. Tefillin are painted black, and the paint is on the surface. And as everyone who wears tefillin regularly knows, the tefillin paint comes off and occasionally must be replaced and reapplied. In fact, it is a very good practice that at least once a year a person should inspect their tefillin to see if any of the black paint has rubbed off or peeled off, which often happens, and then reapply it. So the conclusion of Dr. Adler and his team, in my opinion, is false. The claim of the Talmud that the black color is halacha l'Moshe Sinai remains intact. But it is amazing and wonderful that we have tefillin from 2,000 years ago, and that scientists are studying them. That's an incredible thing. And we, you and I, and everybody else can see them at the Dead Sea Scrolls Museum in Jerusalem. And I hope that you and I will have the opportunity to either visit or revisit this incredible exhibition. My friends, I wish you a great day, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.